Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're tackling a really interesting problem called number of ways to divide a long corridor. It sounds like an interior design issue, but it's actually a cool combinatorics and logic puzzle. We're going to break it down step by step, so even if it looks complicated, you'll get the hang of it. Let's dive in. So here's the setup. We have a long corridor represented by a string. This string only contains two types of characters: S, which stands for a seat, and P, which stands for a plant. Our job is to install room dividers. We already have one at the very start and one at the very end. We can add more dividers anywhere between indices to split this corridor into sections. But there's a catch. Each section we create must have exactly 2 seats. It can have any number of plants, but the number of seats must be exactly 2. We need to find out how many different ways we can do this. Oh, and since the number can be huge, we return the answer modulo 10 to the power of 9 plus 7. Let's simplify the goal. Essentially, we are chopping up a string. The golden rule is that every chop needs to contain exactly 2 seats. If a section has 1 seat, not allowed. 3 seats, not allowed, just 2. The plants act as filler. They don't make a section invalid, but they give us wiggle room on where specifically we can place the divider, which creates different ways or arrangements. Let's look at an example. Suppose our corridor is S, S, P, P, S, P, S. First, let's identify the seats. We have seats at indices 0 and 1. That's our first pair. Then we have more seats at indices 4 and 6. That's our second pair. To separate the first pair from the second pair, we need to put a divider somewhere between the second seat at index 1 and the third seat at index 4. The characters between them are 2 plants at indices 2 and 3, so we could put a divider right after index 1, or right after index 2, or right after index 3. That gives us 3 valid positions. Each creates a valid division. Just a quick heads up before we start coding. I'll be walking through the logic and solution using Python. It's great for readability. But if you're a Java, C++, or JavaScript developer, don't worry. I've included the full solutions for those languages at the very end of the video, so you can stick around for those. The editorial suggests a top-down dynamic programming approach, and that's a very solid way to think about this. Imagine walking down the corridor. At every step you have to decide, do I put a divider here? To make that decision, you need to know 2 things. Where are you right now? That's our index. And more importantly, how many seats have you counted in the current section so far? That's our seats count. If we have exactly 2 seats, we have the option, or sometimes the obligation, to place a divider and start a new section. If we have fewer than 2, we have to keep walking to find more seats. Okay, we've talked about the big picture and the logic. Now let's see what this looks like as actual code. I'll put the full solution up on the screen first. And don't worry, after that, we'll walk through the most important sections together step by step. Here is the full Python code implementing that logic. We use a helper function called count that recursively explores the corridor. We also use a cache to store results so we don't recalculate the same states over and over. Take a quick look, and then we'll break down the key pieces. First, the setup. We define our modulo constant, because the answer can be huge. Then, we initialize our cache. This is a 2D array. The rows represent every index in the corridor string. The columns represent the number of seats in our current section. Since a section becomes valid at 2 seats, we only really care about 0, 1, or 2 seats. We fill it with -1 to indicate that we haven't computed those states yet. Inside our recursive function, we first handle the base case. If our index reaches the length of the corridor, it means we've processed everything. But wait, we can't just say success. We have to check if the very last section we were building is valid. Does it have exactly 2 seats? If yes, we return 1, meaning this path is valid. If not, say we ended with only 1 seat, we return 0, because that's an invalid division. This is the core logic. What happens if our current section already has 2 seats? If the item at the current index is a seat, we are in trouble if we don't split. We can't have 3 seats, so we must consider the previous section closed and start a new section with this current seat. So we call our function with seats equal to 1. But if the current item is a plant, we have freedom. We can either put a divider right here, starting a fresh section with 0 seats. Or we can include this plant in the current section, keeping the seat count at 2. We add the results of both possibilities together. Now, what if we haven't found 2 seats yet? Say we have 0 or 1. In this case, we don't have a choice to put a divider. we must keep extending the current section. If the current item is a seat, we move to the next index and increase our seat count. If it's a plant, we just move to the next index, and the seat count stays the same. Simple as that. So how efficient is this solution? For time complexity, it's big O of n, where n is the length of the corridor string. Why? Because our state is defined by the index and the seat count. The index goes from 0 to n, and the seat count is tiny, just 0, 1, or 2. So we calculate roughly 3 times n states. The space complexity is also big O of n. This is mainly used by our memoization cache to store those results, and also for the recursion stack depth. Alright, that covers the main solution in Python. As promised, for those of you who code in other languages, I'm about to show the full solutions for Java, C++, and JavaScript. I won't be breaking these down in detail, but they follow the exact same logic we just discussed. Just pause the video on your language of choice to check it out. Alright, as promised, here is the full solution in Java. It uses an integer array for memoization to handle the null checks easily. You can pause the video here to take a closer look at the implementation. Next up, here is the C++ version of the solution. We use a simple 2D array and memset for initialization, which is super fast. Again, feel free to pause and review the code. And finally, here is the solution in JavaScript. Note that we're using bigint for the calculations to avoid any overflow issues before converting back to a number at the end. Hopefully, seeing it in a few different languages helps solidify the concepts. So let's wrap it up. We learned that this problem is basically a state machine. We walk through, tracking how many seats we have. The seat count dictates the strict rules. Can we split, or must we split? The plans provide the options, allowing us to branch out into different possibilities. And by caching our answers, we make sure the solution is lightning fast. Alright, before we go, I want to quickly show you a personal project I built to solve a problem that always drove me crazy. It's an app called My Daily To-Do. My biggest frustration with every other to-do app was retyping the same things every single day. Go to the gym, review code, work on the daily Leetcode problem. You know the drill. So I built my app around one simple but powerful idea: separating your routine tasks from your one-off tasks. Routine tasks, marked with the little refresh icon, automatically reset for the next day. One-off tasks, like ship new feature, get the little puff of smoke icon, and they disappear for good once you're done. This small change turns a dumb checklist into a smart scheduler. If that sounds useful, you can try it right now on the web. The link is in the description. And one more thing I want to make super clear. Right now, as a thank you for being an early supporter, the app is 100% free. There are no ads, and no subscriptions whatsoever. This means you get access to everything, including really powerful features like presets, which let you save entire task lists and load them with a single tap. Now, down the road, creating new presets will likely become part of a premium plan to help support the channel. But, and this is the important part, any presets you create now, while it's all free, are yours to keep and use forever. So it's the perfect time to check it out on the web, play with all the features, and build out your perfect setup at no cost. If you enjoyed this problem and want to keep practicing, the learning doesn't have to stop here. I've organized all my video solutions into handy playlists. Whether you're looking to grind through more Leetcode easy, medium, or hard problems, or you want to master a specific topic like sliding window or dynamic programming, I've got a playlist for you. It's the perfect way to focus your study sessions. Go to the playlist tab and find a playlist that fits your goals. Also, if you're looking for even more Leetcode problems beyond the daily challenge, I've started a second channel called Leetcode Unlocked. It's where I'll be posting solutions to a ton of other problems. So if you're serious about your interview prep, be sure to check it out. The link is in the description below. Hope this Leetcode solution breakdown made sense. If it helped, give that like button a click, maybe subscribe for more, or drop a comment if you have questions. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you know straight away when I upload a video, because I upload videos daily. If you want to support the channel, a few people have asked how I plan my solutions. I'm a big fan of sketching out the logic and data structures on a tablet before I code. It really helps. I've put affiliate links in the description to the tablet I use, and a few other good options. Using those links doesn't cost you anything extra, but really helps me out. Or, if you're feeling generous, there's always the Boba Fund. Keep coding, and I'll catch you in the next one.